Chapter 4. Roger Harlan. Could he have sawed through the railing? Why would he do it? Nancy wondered. Roger claimed he'd been filming a commercial all day, but had he? They had only his word for it. Before Nancy continued to speculate about Roger Harlan, she realized she had to make sure the tie tack was really his. "If you don't mind, I'll take this with me," Nancy said to the lighting man. "I think I know whose it is and I can return it." "What I'd really like to know is how it got here," she added silently. "I'm so hungry I could just die." Bess looked as if she meant every word. Every time one of the white-jacketed waiters passed through the small banquet room reserved for Face of the Year participants, she practically fainted. "Me too," Nancy agreed. It had been a long day, and they realized they'd forgotten to eat lunch. Breakfast had been hours before. No wonder they were famished. But help is on the way. Here comes a waiter with menus for us. As the waiter handed the two girls large engraved menus, Nancy considered telling Bess what she'd discovered that day. But the last thing she wanted to do was ruin Bess's good time. "Look, Nan," Bess said excitedly. "They have shrimp scampi." "One of your favorites," said Nancy. "Well, that makes things easy. I'll have the filet of sole." Closing her menu, Nancy sat back and smiled at her friend. Bess was frowning. "I can't get scampi, Nancy," she said. "It's cooked in butter." "Do you know how many calories are in one tiny little pat of butter? Billions." The waiter had walked up to the table, his pencil poised to take their order. "Are you ready?" Nancy ordered her sole. Then Bess asked for a green garden salad and whole wheat toast, no butter. Nancy rolled her eyes to the gilt-painted ceiling. "Bess, just because you don't want to gain weight doesn't mean you have to starve yourself. We missed lunch, remember?" "Nancy Drew, you were born thin," Bess said, sounding a little irritated. "Don't tell me how to order, okay?" "Sorry," Nancy apologized. It wasn't like Bess to snap at her. Nancy understood. Bess was under a lot of pressure. Glancing around the dining room, Nancy saw that most of the other models had ordered very light meals too. Allison Williams, sitting with a woman who had to be her mother, was munching on hearts of celery, and Carrie Harper had barely touched her London broil before she asked the waiter to take it away. "Look, there's Roger Harlan," Bess whispered excitedly, pointing to the door. Nancy turned to watch Roger step into the room. Tom Fortner was with him, and the two men seemed to be chatting amicably. "Isn't he adorable?" Bess murmured. Nancy watched as Roger and Tom separated. Roger walked over to where Bettina was sitting, and Tom seemed to be heading for Kelly Conroy's table. Before he could get there, Heather Richards took Tom by the arm and led him off to the side of the room. "That's strange," thought Nancy as she watched Heather buttonhole Tom. Whatever she was telling him made him appear glum. Heather, on the other hand, seemed animated and happy about the conversation. "It's worth it. It's all worth it. No pain, no gain," Bess chanted as she looked down at the meager dinner the waiter had set before her. She picked up her fork and stabbed her salad, but all the time her eyes were hungrily attacking Nancy's appetizer. "Have a stuffed mushroom, Bess," Nancy offered. "Oh, all right, you convinced me." Instantly, Bess's fork was on Nancy's plate. "Super," she pronounced, her mouth full of the succulent mushroom. "Can I have another?" "Of course," Nancy said, pushing the plate closer to Bess. Tom and Heather were walking to their tables now. Heather returned to hers while Tom went to the table occupied by Kelly Conroy and a regal-looking chestnut-haired woman in a white woolen suit. Although Fortner had said hello and smiled at everyone as he passed by, Nancy noticed that his smile didn't reach his eyes. older woman in white sitting with Tom and Kelly," Bess said excitedly, "is Monique Durand. Isn't she gorgeous?" Nancy moved her head to get a better look at the world-famous former model Monique Durand. When Nancy and Bess were young children, her perfect face had been plastered everywhere. Now she was the creator and owner of Elan Modeling Agency. Though she had to be 35, Monique was as lovely as ever. A sudden burst from the table directly behind theirs made Nancy's head snap. "Oh, sorry." Maggie Adams apologized to the room in general for her ear-splitting sneeze. Aside from her single sneeze, Maggie seemed fully recovered from her spill into the lake. She was radiant in a pale blue Angora sweater. Trudy Wu, who was sitting with Maggie, had burst out laughing at Maggie's sneeze. "I never heard anything like that," Trudy said, still giggling. "Isn't it awful?" Maggie included Nancy and Bess, as well as Trudy, in her conversation. "I've always had this incredibly loud sneeze. No matter how hard I try to make it quieter, it always comes out like that." The clinking of a spoon against a glass brought everyone's attention to the table where Monique Durand had risen to her feet. "Hello, everyone," Monique said in an accent that was faintly French and thoroughly charming. "I am Monique Durand. I want to thank you all for participating in our Face of the Year contest. We had more entrants this year than ever before, so you are very special young ladies to have made it this far." Nancy glanced across the table at Bess, who was beaming, drinking in every one of Monique Durand's words. "When I was a young model new to this country," Monique was saying, "the biggest problem I had was meeting photographers and getting my first portfolio. I had to knock on many doors until someone gave me a chance. But I'm happy to announce that for you, assembling a portfolio will be much easier. Tonight, each of you will be assigned a photographer who will create the portfolio for you, courtesy of Elan." Monique let the girls react to this wonderful news with a small burst of applause before she began speaking again. "Tomorrow, your first professional assignment, so to speak, will be a sportswear spread. Later in the week, you'll be posing in formal wear, casual wear, and sundresses. The clothing has all been supplied by Smash. Unlike a real modeling assignment, you're free to keep any clothes you wear." "Wow! I didn't know we'd get to keep anything," Bess said excitedly. Monique continued, "We've been having unseasonably cool weather, and I'm sorry that we've scheduled the sessions to be shot outdoors. But modeling is hard work, girls. You might as well learn that now. To be a successful model, you have to be willing to wear a sundress in cold weather and a heavy coat in the summer. And through it all, you must smile, smile, smile. Our profession requires a great deal of discipline. In fact, lack of discipline is the reason most girls fail to achieve the success they deserve." Was Nancy imagining it, or had Monique Durand aimed her remarks about discipline straight at Bettina Vasquez? Bettina was glaring at Monique. Except for Nancy, nobody seemed to notice. Everyone else was totally captivated by Monique. "Also, remember, news reporters have been invited to all the shoots this week," Monique went on. "Since you will be representing the sponsors of this contest, we expect you to be polite to them, no matter how nosy or rude they act. Above all, please don't do anything drastic with your appearance after your makeovers tomorrow morning. We'd like you to stick with those results. Last year, we had a contestant who streaked her hair during the third day of the contest. Streaked or frosted hair is out of date, and it reflects badly on all of us. And please, keep your makeup to a minimum. When in doubt, use less, not more. There was no doubt about Monique's comment that time. Her crack about frosted hair was directed at Bettina. Nancy and everyone else now watched as the two women glared at each other with undisguised dislike. There was a moment of awkward silence. Maggie let out another mega sneeze, which broke the tension in the room. Everyone chuckled, then applauded lightly for Monique as she sat down. Tom Fortner rose to speak. He glanced around at the contestants with a gleam in his eye as he dug in his pocket for a piece of paper. "Well, I guess this is the moment you've all been waiting for," he said, joking. "I have the names of your escorts for tomorrow's banquet." Bess reached across the table and squeezed Nancy's hand. "Maybe I'll get Roger Harlan," she whispered. "Oh, I hope. Maybe." Without giving the secret away, Nancy squeezed Bess's hand and grinned. "But I'm sure none of the escorts will be losers." She glanced over at Maggie Adams' table. She wanted to see the expression on the girl's face when she got the good news. "Let me dispense with the mystery right away," a flushed Tom Fortner said. He cleared his throat. "Excuse me. Heather Richards, your date for the banquet will be Roger Harlan." End of chapter 4.